Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 here on Badbeard's show, podcast, experience, whatever it's turning into. This is episode 6 with our friend Kayla Theisler. She's a pro racer. After actually breaking her back for an entire year, took a break, and on this day she raced, and so we were able to talk to her. Also part of the BTR Build Train Race program from Royal Enfield, so she probably knows a handful of my other friends out there too. But she was great and had a good time, and hope to have her back again. Welcome to my one-man show, as you stated. Are you you're a one-woman show? You're a racer? You're here? You just got off the track?
I am. This weekend I'm a one-woman show. I made the trip down from Charlotte, North Carolina. Just me and my pickup truck and my race bike and my pit bike.
And then how'd the race go?
Race went really well. This is actually my first time back on track in over a year. September of last year was my last race on the bike. I broke my back in a couple places in January, so had to take some time off for that, and I really just wanted it to heal correctly. So I was able to get back at it, and here I am, my first race.
Yeah, and how did you feel?
It felt good. This whole week at work and at home, like, it was always just daunting on me. Like, I didn't know if
I can't imagine.
Well, I was super nervous. Like, what if I crash? What if I hurt my bike again? Like, what if I hurt my back? I didn't know how it would go, especially going by myself. Usually there's like a whole, I have friends, family, my team there to support me. But it went really well, honestly. After taking a whole year off, I actually ran in practice 1 on Friday, the same time that I ran for practice 1 a whole year ago after a whole season of racing. So honestly, it really is like learning to ride a bike again. It came right back. I was worried it would kind of taper off a bit,
Well, and I gotta imagine
physically.
Mentally you had to get over that hurdle just to get back to normal, because that was probably just playing with your brain too much.
Right, exactly. And this was my first time racing this bike solo. I was part of the Royal Enfield Build Train Race program for 2 years. So
yeah, I've heard about that.
A whole network of people to support us, mechanics, just like all the program management, and all the other racers too. There were 15 of us last year. So it was a lot different this year. There were a few of us girls in the pits together, all pitted together, and it felt like, just like old times.
So what bike were you racing, and what class are you in today?
So the bike I was racing this weekend isn't really the bike I would typically race with Arma. I was on my 2021 Royal Enfield Continental GT650. So that is a bike for the BTR program, specifically for the road race portion. Flat Track uses the other version of the bike. So typically I would race my 69 Honda CB350 for Arma, but Arma was nice enough to let all of us BTR girls have our own classes here. So we were able to race against each other, and then some of the other girls are actually running other classes. I think upwards of 3 classes we can run these bikes on. A little underpowered in the other ones, but some of the girls, they are fast. Like, I had seen them on TV all year, like supporting them, but to see them in person and just seeing how fast they are, just blow by classes above them, it's insane.
Wow. So tell me more about BTR.
Right. So BTR was originally invented by Bree Poland, previously of Royal Enfield. So it was a thought that her and Melissa Paris had years ago when they were working at road racing together to get more women in the paddock. It's obviously a very male-dominated sport. We're trying to get more women into it, and BTR started for road racing 2 years ago. Hundreds of women applied, 7 of us were selected. We all got a free bike from Royal Enfield, and we had 90 days to build it into a race bike. So stock bike out of a crate,
which
all
bike
the way up
was
to
it?
A race bike.
What was the bike that you guys got?
The Continental GT650.
Okay.
So that's what I'm racing here this weekend too.
Makes sense.
So the problem is none of us are professional racers. We were racing in the Moto America series. It's kind of like if you put normal people in the Olympics. None of us had ever done a 2-wheel track day before, so we all had extensive riding backgrounds, some more urban, some more off-road. We had a motocross racer the first year, flat track racer, and then I did sidecar racing as well as flat track racing, but none of us had ever done a 2-wheel road race.
So they set you up with your 650, you put it together, add your personality, design it as you see fit, and then the training is also part of that program. They were able to teach you?
Right, so we build the bike, step 1, check. Then we train. Melissa Paris coached us through our first track day. We were at Grattan in Michigan, which at the time I was living in Detroit, so pretty close to me. So it was awesome. It was a really technical, tight track, really hilly. I've heard from other racers, more established racers, that if you can race Grattan, you can race anywhere. So it was kind of trial by fire. We were all following her. around the track, kind of like little ducklings. And I actually have a sticker on my race bike now that says Duckling Racing, and it has all of us original girls from BTR who came back for a second year. It's all of us as little rubber ducks.
Oh, that's cute.
So yeah, we went from that all the way to what we see here being more competitive.
So are you dragging your knee, getting in there?
Oh yeah, I wore through a knee puck this weekend actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've come a long way. When I scraped a knee for the first time 2 years ago, I was terrified. I picked the bike right back up, mid corner, because you hear it and you don't. I thought I was like dragging hard parts, like a foot peg or my boot or something. But no, it was my first scrape.
What a satisfying confirmation that you're like, holy shit, I'm getting good.
Absolutely, and just seeing the seconds, even in a whole weekend, you improve, and you don't realize that at first, but you'll go out for a track the first time, you'll do your first practice session, and it's slow, your tires are cold, you're feeling out the bike for the weekend, and then by the race, it's like, oh my gosh, it took 8 seconds off that whole time, and and that'll all stick with you too, as long as you take meticulous notes, you'll remember that for next year. I was shifting here, I was on the gas here, etc. And it all was a little piece of the puzzle that all comes together.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's super cool. So then you do the season of BTR, and then was this coinciding with the sidecar stuff, or that was independent, or it was together, or what did that look like?
So it's independent. For sidecar, I race ARMA. I started in 2020, and that's how I really got into road racing. I had been told at a motorcycle show in Milwaukee, Mama Tried, by a couple that races vintage sidecar, Celia and Eric, thank you for getting me into it. But they're like, hey, you're really tall. Have you thought about sidecar racing? And I was like, no. If I'm gonna race a bike, I'm gonna be in control of it. I'm not gonna hang off the side. And then I went to Road America and I saw it for the first time. I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And then I came here later that year and I saw it, in its prime here and how the fans just love it and how cool the racers were. And I got my license in 2020 with ARMA. And been racing ever since.
Well, so how do you even, so you're not the driver.
Correct,
How do you end up in a conversation with an individual that you're like, yes, I'll be your dead weight?
Yeah, so it's funny.
They're like, well, you got some long legs. You want to hop on the...
Yeah, so a lot of people that race sidecar together, they know each other. They're friends, maybe they know each other from other racers, just pairing up a monkey, and a monkey is what passengers, it's our cute little nickname. But pairing up a monkey and a driver, well, mine was completely random. I had to do a sidecar racing school through ARMA. Their ARMA Academy of Road Racing, it's called. And they have a sidecar specific one because obviously if you aren't doing your job right, you're gonna go off track or you're gonna flip. It's really dangerous. So the day I learned how to hold on to a sidecar is the day I learned, my pilot's name. I was during COVID when I started, so I was actually just a backup monkey at first. And then we raced together and we just had instant chemistry, which you don't always have. I've definitely had some passengers and riders that I've been with that it's like, all right, we need to feel it out first a little, but right away Mike and I just clicked. And we've been racing ever since together.
Well, then that's just such a full commit to, give me some of the positioning. I've seen him fly by, but I myself have not been a monkey.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a terrible monkey. Maybe I'm too short, too wide. What's the right setup for that?
So really, anyone can make it work. One of the other.
So I got a shot. I can be a monkey.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
There's a sidecar racer here this weekend. I think he's 6'4" or 6'5", and he's a monkey. And then one of our BTR girls. I'm not sure how tall she is, but she's very petite, and she races as well. So it's not. You can always move the welds or the hold bars around to make it fit you, but it's really the physics of it. It's what you're comfortable with too. Some people have more strength, upper body strength than others. That's something you develop and you'll always be able to modify your positioning. So hold on, in a different place with different fingers, hook your foot in a different place, lean out further, go back in, whatever it takes.
Well, so then is there any really, when you're a monkey, does that even translate to the racing you did with BTR, or you're like?
Yes and no. So when I started BTR, a lot of people thought that I would have an advantage because I had been on track before and they think, oh, you've done road racing. No, I haven't. When I was racing sidecar, I was seeing either pavement or sky. There is no in between. I'm not seeing what's right in front of me. I'm seeing everything at a 90-degree angle.
Whoa.
So yes, I have physically been on the tracks. I know if it's going left or right, If you study a track map, watch a YouTube video, you can also figure that out. It is a little different being in the moment and being on track, but it does transfer, but it doesn't at the same time.
Yeah, wow. So what is kind of the next stop for you? You're here, you're back, you've made it back, your back is back together.
Yeah, I'm back, definitely.
Do you have any hardware still inside?
What was that?
Is there any hardware still inside you?
Oh no, I have no hardware, no.
Okay,
no surgery
cool.
needed, yeah. Everything stayed in place, so I was super lucky with that.
Was PT a big bitch?
Oh yeah, I did over 4 months of physical therapy. Woo. Yeah, and it helped so much.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, I've got a gym membership back, and I'm, ready to kick it next year for sure.
And so then what is that goal? Obviously to win.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'll race my BTR bike next season because the other women who participate in the program, I don't know if they're coming back for ARMA, and I don't want to be the only bike in the class coming out. It's kind of like a Barber specific class. So I would probably ride my CB 350 more. So I'll be doing Sportsman 350 class on my 69 CB. And then I'll also be racing sidecar too.
And then you'll head back home, back to Detroit, was it?
I'm actually in North Carolina now.
That's right, Charlotte.
Yeah, a month ago I moved down to Charlotte.
What inspired that move?
My job. So I'm a motorsports engineer by day.
Okay.
I work in like NASCAR, IndyCar industry. So
doing what?
I'm a additive manufacturing engineer. So what I do is 3D printing. So 3D printing all the parts for all of General Motors race teams.
Whoa.
So everything from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, WEC, off-road truck, Extreme E, and HRA, things like that.
Did that factor into your BTR where you had the build portion? You're like, you know what I can do?
It did. So I wasn't actually in this specific role at that time, but I am an engineer by trade and by degree, so I always have that mind of how to make things. But I had never built a bike before. Like I had repaired parts on bikes and like older bikes especially, but I had never fabricated from the ground up on a bike. So some things I can see on a bike and be like, oh, I'm gonna 3D print that on my home printers, like do something like that. But I do kind of bring that design background in, but it's a lot different than a fabrication background.
Interesting. So when you've been getting into different classes and you're back again, what is the experience for a woman versus a man in a space like Barber? I mean, Barber does seem like this isn't Sturgis. It seems like a bit of a different crowd, a little more friendly, a little more tame.
It is, for sure. Barber is all about the enthusiasts, so it's people who appreciate bikes. I'm on my pit bike here. I rode over here today, and
Thank you for coming.
Of course, happy to be here. I just came off track, so undersuit still on and everything. But I have my 70 Honda CL 175 here, and I had multiple people on the way over. 3 people stopped me and said, "Oh, I like your bike." It's cool because people always appreciate or you hear stories about "Oh, back in the day I had this." And you get to meet a lot of people at Barber. 2 years ago, I got to meet the Grand Marshal for the event, Mary McGee, who is my hero. She is one of the founding women of road racing, for sure. She's my hero, and I got to meet her, and it was a really emotional event. I went to the Motorcycles by Moonlight event that they have on Friday night during Vintage Fest. If anyone hasn't been, I definitely recommend. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a black tie affair with dinner, and the Grand Marshal will speak. And Mary McGee was that. She was the first female road racer, and she also did Baja 500 and won as a solo team. So what's cool about my connection to her is I started at road racing at 24, and she did as well. She's 5'11", I'm 5'11", so right off the bat I had that, and she just has such a great spirit. And thanks to Barber, I was able to meet her, and because of her, I'm able to do what I do, and so many women here today are able to do what they do.
Do you feel that same responsibility that now you have the torch and you're able to hand off to an individual?
Absolutely. There's little girls here who come to my pits and see a whole row of women together,
how cool.
And it gives you chills, really.
Yeah.
All of last season when I was racing with Moto America and BTR, the amount of little girls we would sign, shirts, postcards, whatever for, it gives me chills because that's not something I had as a kid. I didn't go to motorcycle races as a kid. I was more into the car scene, growing up with my family. But I would have loved to see that, even with cars growing up. So the fact that little girls can see us as women working on our own bikes too, racing our own bikes, and being in leathers and everything, it's really cool.
That is very cool. Wow, that's a lot to think about. So to meet your guru, your mentor.
Yeah.
To then be the next iteration of, and then so what does the future look like for you, and how do you plan to really just bang that same drum?
I'm sorry.
Bang that drum for other women riders, and then equally girls coming up. What do you intend to?
I'm not really sure, long term what to do. I'm kind of just taking it one year at a time, see where my racing career takes me. Literally my career in racing, and then also my recreational racing as well. But I do whatever I can to reach out to other women, and I would love to get part of some program to get more women into road racing. The amount of people here that came up, and it was just an offhand comment, I didn't even know him, but he made to me. He's like, there's a lot of girls racing here this weekend. And I was like, all right, you're calling us girls, whatever, we're women, but I mean, I'll take it,
Yeah.
It's cool that it's something that they're noticing, and we're starting to make more and more prominence in the sport.
Well, and certainly coming with the skills that you are, it's like nobody can refute that in itself is talented and should be recognized as such and respected. So kudos to you and all the work that you've done to get to where you are. I love your shirt, ride whatever.
Ride whatever, yeah, it's my life motto.
That's your life motto?
I'll ride the wheels off of anything.
That's cool. What's been your favorite bike? Like of any bike you've ridden, what has been your favorite?
Ooh, out of every bike I've ridden, well, my favorite bike ever is a Honda CBX, just the inline six. I love quirky bikes. It's an inline six. It's so ungodly heavy, but so cool. I just love the sound of them. So that is my dream bike to own and to race as well.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything else that you, where can we find you? How can we?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm slowly trying to grow my presence. I did take a little bit of a break from social media, but
because you broke your back.
I did, yeah. It was getting all the confidence to post again back too, for sure. Especially since my racing career just kind of ended temporarily. But you can find me on Facebook. My name is Kayla Theisler Racing, and then you can also find me on Instagram. My handle is Ticycle. Since my last name is Theisler, it looks like Tice Cycle, but it's Ticycle.
And that's T-I-T-Y.
Theiscycle.
Got it.
Yeah, a lot different than everyone expects, for sure.
Well, cool. And you're done racing for the weekend?
I am, yeah. Time to pack up.
When's the next time we're going to have you on the track?
I'll be on track in February at Roebling Road in Savannah, Georgia.
Cool. Well, we'll keep our eyes out for you.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. So what did you think your first time here on the couch?
Yeah, that was awesome. I've never